shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hey all, it's Dr. Noah. The card is now open for our Father's Day special on our Being Superman program. This special will run from June 9th till June 23rd. This 12-module online course is designed for men. Physical, emotional, and chemical nutritional strategies to live your best life. In honor of fathers everywhere, enjoy the entire program for only $97 with the code FATHER2019. Yes, it's case sensitive, so it's capital F, capital A, capital T, capital H, capital E, capital R, 2019. The link will be in the show notes, or you can go directly to our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com to take advantage of this incredible offer. Happy Father's Day and enjoy the upcoming podcast. Hello, BYWG tribe. This is Dr. Noah. We wanted to make you aware of our carefully selected book, product, and supplement of the month for June 2019. Keep in mind, all the links, discount codes, and special offers for the product and book and supplement will be listed in the show notes and iTunes, posted on social media, in our weekly newsletter, and on our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com at the Listen Now tab. So let's start here first with free bacon for life. We've been a huge fan of ButcherBox for years. In fact, you can listen to me interview the CEO, Mike Salguero, in the podcast archives. Personally, I look forward to my box of grass-fed meats every month. I get the beef, pork, chicken combo box and regularly take care of their specials. So here are the two different specials. From June 1st to June 11th, using the code www.butcherbox.com/beyondyourwildestgenes/ for new customers only, you are eligible for free shipping, free bacon, and $20 off your first box. From June 12th till July 7th, ButcherBox has created an incredible special offer for our listeners who are new to ButcherBox. Free bacon for life. The link to take advantage of this awesome offer is below. That's right, so every new customer, for every box you get every month or every other month, you'll get free bacon. We love grass-fed beef, organic chicken, wild-caught fish, and heritage pork, especially in the form of bacon. Our supplement of the month is BYWG's Digestive Boost. Digestive Boost is a formulation of specially selected enzymes and supportive nutrients to help the user break down their food and enhance absorption of key nutrients they need from their diet. As mentioned, our doctor-selected enzyme blend in Digestive Boost is uniquely designed to help with gluten and dairy, which many find very difficult to break down effectively and efficiently. The secret sauce to this blend is the DPP4 enzyme. As mentioned, for the entire month of June, if you use this code, capital D, capital I, capital G, capital B, capital O, capital S, capital T, 10, yes, it's case sensitive, you will receive 10% off this incredible digestive aid. You can pick it up at our office at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com, or if you're local, you can pick it up at the office and just mention the special code. Our book of the month is Chasing Cupcakes, How One Broke Fat Girl Transformed Her Life by Elizabeth Benton. It was a great read. You can listen to me interview Elizabeth on the BYWG podcast in the month of June. The link to purchase this book will be in the show notes. Be awesome and never unawesome, and enjoy the upcoming podcast. Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer and I am your co-host. Today our guest is Elizabeth Benton. Elizabeth, can I read your bio first and then we'll get started?
Absolutely.
Great. Elizabeth was depressed, deeply in debt, and obese. As a nutrition expert and educator who binged on junk food every time she put gas in her car, she felt like a fraud and a failure. Desperate to start truly living again, she decided to believe in her potential rather than her past. She lost 150 pounds, paid off $130,000 worth of debt, and remains debt-free as a successful entrepreneur. Today, Elizabeth is the owner of Primal Potential. Through her platform of podcast, coaching, and live events, she has fueled her deepest struggles into a burning passion to help people create lives, create transformations, and live more fulfilled lives. Today, we have Elizabeth on to talk about her new book, Chasing Cupcakes. before we begin, Elizabeth, since this is the first time you're on our show, how about telling our audience a little bit more about you than just your few-sentence bio?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to chat. And I struggled with my weight for my whole life. I wasn't one of those people that, had a normal, healthy childhood and then put on some weight in college and struggled with, 20 vanity pounds. I was what I call born metabolically disadvantaged. So the short version of that story is that my mom is a tall, thin woman, and she was very sick while she was pregnant with me. And she lost weight. She was close to 100 pounds while 9 months pregnant with me. And everybody thought that I would just be this scrawny, sickly baby, but I was a chunker and a half because my metabolism in utero slowed down so that I would survive. My mom became osteoporotic. She lost her hair. I learned to conserve fuel in utero. And while I probably could have and would have grown out of that, there was a lot of shame in my family around my weight. Specifically, my mom had a real issue with having an overweight child, and she was ashamed, and she felt that it was a reflection on her. And so what was a physical issue became very much a mental and emotional issue. And from a very young age, I was sneaking food, and I was going back and forth between periods of extreme restriction and extreme overindulgence. And the problems just got worse as I got older, but I was obsessed with the solution. I wasn't just eating and loving it and fat and happy. I was miserable. I was depressed. And at one point, I had been studying Latin and Greek on a scholarship in college, and I walked away from my scholarship to study nutrition because I thought, if I could just figure this out, everything else would be fine. But learning wasn't the same thing as changing. So I followed that path for a while, just trying to learn more and learn more and learn more, but I wasn't getting to the root of the issue. And thankfully, I realized that most of the challenges that I was struggling with, not only with my weight, because that was just a symptom of a greater issue with shame and embarrassment and self-loathing, the change really happens from the inside out, not from the outside in. And when I discovered that through decades of struggle, I knew that I wanted to help other people who were battling the same exterior signs and symptoms, but not really ever getting to the root. And so that's when I decided to leave my job. I was working in the supplement industry at the time and start Primal Potential and write Chasing Cupcakes.
Okay, so that's so then let's start with Primal Potential then.
Sure.
And you mentioned it's a podcast and eventually a book and coaching, but what's the nuts and bolts of it?
Really, the nuts and bolts go back to the fact that change starts on the inside, not from the outside. And in this day and age where there's infinite amounts of information and opinion out there, it can be easy to chase the external solution. What diet is right for me? Or if it's not food, right, maybe it's money, what budget or what software. But fundamentally, these challenges, whether they're with food or with fitness or anything in between, really starts with a story you've been telling yourself about yourself. And so through Primal Potential in the podcast, while we definitely talk about nuts and bolts of epigenetics, of hormone optimization, working with your body instead of against it, we're really focusing most on how you can change your behavior if you're willing to first change the way you think.
So it's as much or more of a mental game and program than anything else.
More mental, 100%.
And with the name Primal Potential, do you stick with a primal paleo type of template, or is it just a name that resonated with you?
I personally do, for my own self. But I also believe that there is no one-size-fits-all for anybody ever. And also, so much of the way we eat hinges on our baseline. Like when I was at my heaviest and I was over 350 pounds, I didn't need to go on a primal or a paleo or a keto or a low carb diet. I needed to start eating less fast food. Like that was number one. And so I really believe that it is about continuous and gradual improvement, paying attention to your body and doing what works for you. What works for me is definitely more of a primal approach, but that wasn't the way it was when I started. It was literally, let's order one meal at Chick-fil-A for breakfast and not two.
Starting with the big rocks first.
Exactly.
And then you could fill the sand in later, right?
That's right.
That's really cool. So how long has Primal Potential been around for? How many years are we talking about?
5 years in July.
All right. So you got the same time frame as Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. We are 5 years old on June 14th.
Well, happy anniversary. We're 5 years old on July 12th. So congratulations.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And, at what point did you realize that you wanted to write this book? Like, was it a couple years in? Was it always a goal? Because we tossed about that idea as well. And we haven't pulled the trigger yet. But I was just curious, at what point did you realize that you wanted to put a book out?
When I was about 7 years old.
I gotcha. Good answer.
Seriously, I remember where I was sitting. And it was one of those situations where I was about to go back to school. My school uniform didn't fit. My mom was upset about it. And I didn't want to go to school because I was the fat kid. And I remember I was sitting with my mother and my aunt and I was crying my eyes out. I felt like it was the end of the world. And I said, one day, I'm going to get over this. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to make sure that nobody else feels the pain that I feel right now.
That's cool. That's cool. For me, I'm very thin and tall, and I was a little dorky growing up. I had glasses and braces, a little nerdy. But I not quite 7, but at an early age, at the age of 12, I knew that I wanted to be a chiropractor too. So I feel us very fortunate, both of us, that we had a calling. Really early on in life, because you can't say that for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing, though. Even though I knew, it was not an easy path. Like, I think sometimes there's this notion that if you know, then the hard work is done. And that could not be further from the truth in my situation. Knowing had nothing to do with the decades of struggle that I had to get through one moment at a time to be able to live that out.
Elizabeth, let's just unpack that a little bit more, and then we'll get into chasing cupcakes. So you said, your initial decision was having only one Chick-fil-A meal a day as opposed to 2 or 3.
For breakfast.
I'm sorry. So how do we, and you said you were 350 pounds at once your heaviest, and I don't know how much you weigh now, but because there's a lot of overweight people out there, I'm sure listening to this podcast will pick it up in some way, shape, or form. How long did this take? It was a mental shift, but the hard work to put in, I'm sure you work on it every day, like we all do when we're concerned about our health and wellness. But the big, gigantic hurdles, how long did that take? And what were some of the things you had to do and go through to get through that?
I wish I could wrap up that answer in like a pretty sexy bow that everybody wants to hear. Like, it took me a year, it took me a month, but the reality, as much as I wish that this was not the answer, the reality is that the years of struggle were as much a part of the solution as the years of change. You know what I mean? So it's impossible to say like, well, one day I just ordered one entree for breakfast, and then from there I felt like I was rocking and rolling in about 3 months, because it just isn't that easy to like wrap up. But I think that when I decided that the way I had been going about things just wasn't working, because I told myself I was changing my strategy, because I was going from this diet to that diet, from this 30-day plan to this 21-day plan. So I told myself I wasn't doing the same thing, but I was. I was trying to follow somebody else's rules. I was gearing myself up for some big longer-term commitment, and I was never focused on the day I was in. When I finally realized that's all the same approach just different colors, different shades of gray, I was like, I got to do something different. And I worked on focusing on just the day I am in. Just for today, what is an improvement? And that hasn't stopped. Whether now it's focused on in my relationship or in my business or in my finances or still with health and nutrition, it is still the practice every day.
Yeah, one of my favorite yoga instructors that I take on a daily basis ends most classes with, and I forget exactly what it is, but it's basically, just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will blank. Just for today, I will. And yeah, I love it. And I forget, it's only like 3 concepts. Just for today, I will not anger. It's definitely one. I can't remember the rest. But it's along the same lines. It's just like, just for today, I'm going to do this. And then tomorrow I'm going to do this. And it's just going to build on it. And I think you would agree, and I see with my patients and our coaching clients and our businesses and everything, is that, there's going to be ups and downs, kind of roller coasters. But you want to see that upward trend, even if there's downward dips during that upward trend. And in reality, that is reality, that you should be focusing the upward trend with dips, ups, wins, challenges, all kind of encompassed into one.
Yeah, and I used to live my life very much focused on yesterday and tomorrow. So beating myself up for yesterday or believing in the problems of yesterday or planning for tomorrow and deferring until tomorrow. I'll do better tomorrow. Oh, just for today. But that wasn't working for me. And so I had to dismiss the ideas of making today's decisions based on yesterday or tomorrow and just win the day I'm in, be where my feet are. And while it is applied more broadly in my life now, and then it was very much focused on food, somebody brings in donuts to the office. Okay, if I want a donut tomorrow, I know where they are. There's not a worldwide shortage of donuts. I can go get one. Just for today, it's not right now. And that really changed my life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I love the name of your book. I think it's really catchy. Where did Chasing Cupcakes, the name, come from?
It was kind of a self-deprecating joke, to be perfectly honest. I was really struggling with the fact that while a lot of my story is about weight loss, the book is not. The book is about creating change, and I definitely tie in stories from my journey with my weight and getting out of debt and those kinds of things. I was struggling with a name that would speak to this idea of creating change and not be misleading or be too vague. And I was going back and forth with one of my friends who was probably sick and tired of hearing me debate different titles. And he said, can you just go with your gut? And in a kind of joking, playful way, I said, well, if I go with my gut, I'm going to call it Chasing Cupcakes. And he was like, I actually think that's kind of good. And then I thought about it for about a day and shared it with my publisher, and they were like, that's actually really good. So it's playful, but on the cover, it's a picture of a cupcake, and instead of a candle in the cupcake, it's a stick of dynamite. Because for so long, I was chasing this temporary pleasure, whether it was food or spending money or whatever, not realizing that thing I was telling myself was so good was actively blowing up in my face and keeping me from a life I wanted.
Right. I mean, and it's a great title. It is a great cover, and the link to the book will be in the show notes. But Elizabeth, how about a few key concepts in the book to whet our audience's appetite for them to go check it out themselves?
One of my favorite, somebody just asked me the other day, what's your favorite chapter? And I said, it probably depends on the day you ask me and what struggles I'm going through in my own life. But right now, I'm going through a renovation of a farmhouse built in 1770. And I revisit chapter 9 called Customer Service is an Inside Job almost every single day. And the whole premise of that chapter is, have you ever had like a flight delay? You get to the airport and then they come over the speaker and they tell you, sorry, we've had a delay, and you've got to go up to the desk and try and figure things out.
Oh yeah, with my whole family.
Right, absolutely, right? So imagine if You walk up to that person at the desk at the airline counter and you say, hey, I got somewhere to be. My flight was just delayed. And they went on for like 15 minutes with how sorry they felt for you and how this just happened to their sister. And it's so unfortunate and they know how annoying it can be. And no matter how hard they try, this always happens every day. You'd be like, can we just solve the problem, please? Like, why are you still going on and on? Like, I just want you to fix it. And we have that standard for somebody like the customer service agent with the airline or the person at the end of the 800 number when we call because our refrigerator broke. We want them to get right into solving it. We don't want them to feel bad for us. We don't want them to rehash the problem or the past and the pattern of behavior. And yet, we don't hold ourselves to that standard.
Right.
We stay in the problem. Oh my gosh, this always happens. I'm so good for 2 days, but then I blow it. No matter how hard I try, when I get stressed out, we act in a way with ourselves when the stakes are so much higher than a flight delay, when the stakes are our health, our happiness, our vitality, our ability to enjoy our lives, we stay in the problem and the past pattern. And so what I tell myself is I am a creative, energetic problem solver. As soon as I identify the problem, I move into creating the solution. And so the chapter really goes through strategies for identifying, because sometimes we're just so used to being in the problem, we don't even know we're there. We think that thinking about the problem is related to the solution, but it's not. Right. So we talk about strategies for identifying where in that problem-solving process you are and how to move more quickly from the problem to the solution.
Yes, those. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I can add. I agree. How far are you along in your renovations of your farmhouse?
Not far enough. So there's 4 buildings on the property. One is an apartment. We got that done. The office is underway right now, my office, and then we go on to the main house. So we're early in the process.
That's so cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Anything else in the book you'd like to share?
It really, for anybody who feels like their expectations of themselves or their intentions for their behavior aren't matching up to their execution, to their actions, this book is going to give you so many tools and not rules, right? I'm not saying do this, not that. The whole premise of the book is so that you become a better thinker, because when you start to think about your circumstances differently, when you start to think about your choices differently, when you break out of the same way of thinking, you create new ways of behaving. The challenge with a lot of the reasons that people feel like they are stuck is that they haven't changed their thinking. And our actions follow suit with our thinking. When you think differently, you behave differently.
Right. That's absolutely correct. Well, I'm excited for our audience to check it out for sure. Like I said, I initially loved the name, loved the tagline, loved the book, loved it. Had to have you on, definitely. Worthwhile read. For, I don't know, almost 2 years now, I've been asking the same question at the end of every podcast. And I think it's helpful for people because I believe in rhythms. So what is your rhythm from waking to sleeping most days?
Sure. So the only variability in my morning is whether my puppy gets up when I do. I have a 14-week-old English lab puppy, so he can throw things off a little bit, but when the stars are aligned and he doesn't wake up, I usually get up around 5 a.m. and first thing I do is drink water. I write out my affirmations while I'm drinking my water, and then I meditate 20 minutes. Around that time, I usually take the puppy outside, feed the chickens in the chicken coop, and then I come inside, my coffee's ready, and I start working. I usually work from about 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. and take a break in there for a workout. CrossFit is my workout of choice. And food-wise, I do usually a smoothie mid-morning. I do a salad in the afternoon, and dinner tends to be meat and vegetables. Cauliflower and Brussels sprouts are my favorites. And I meditate again after dinner usually, and then I try to be in bed by 10 p.m.
Cool. I like I said, I think rhythms are so important. And some people's rhythms are not to have a rhythm. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but it works for some people. But I love hearing successful people's rhythms because I do, like I mentioned, believe it's really, really important.
I agree with you.
So, Elizabeth, what's the best way for our audience to get in touch with you?
I think the fastest response time from me is a direct message on Instagram. I'm at Elizabeth Benton on Instagram. You can email me, elizabeth@primalpotential.com, or I have over 600 episodes of the Primal Potential podcast, so you can know everything there is to know about me and more by diving into the podcast.
Well, do you do your own do you just speak on your podcast, or do you have guests? Like, how is it structured?
95% of the time, it is just me because my goal is to be in communication with my listener directly versus having my listener be witnessing my conversation with somebody else.
Right. Cool. Just one. And I did check out your podcast a little bit and I did notice that it was mostly you on various topics. Yeah. That's cool. Any last words, Elizabeth?
I say to my clients all the time that every choice is a chance. You do not have to wait until tomorrow. You do not have to wait until you lose 20 pounds. You don't have to wait until you understand something more. Your next choice is your next chance, and every choice is a chance.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to remember that. Can that quote be attributed to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like one of the themes of the book for sure.
Say that again so I can write this sucker down.
Every choice is a chance.
Every choice is a chance. That will be one of our quotes of the week, too, for sure.
I love that.
All right. Remember, Tribe, the link to the book will be in the show notes for sure. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoya, your host, and you are listening to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please share this with your friends and family and encourage them to subscribe on iTunes. Check out our newest supplement, Deep Sleep Assist, at our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com. And as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you.